Hey there, everybody. Welcome into this edition of ESPN FC's Extra Time. I'm Sebastian Salazar. Got your Twitter questions right here. We have a trio of panelists ready to answer all of them. Stuart Robson, Frank Leboeuf, and Shaka Hislop. First question for you, Frank. What do you think of what Andre Villas-Boas has done at Marseille for the last 15 months?
It's very good. It's very good. He recreated a real squad with players willing to work together. He had results. It's hard to know that you're not going to win the Ligue 1 because Paris Saint-Germain is from far, the best team, and of course the first place is dedicated to them almost every year. It's impossible for any team to compete with them. But he does well, and they couldn't finish the season, but he did enough to give joy to the club, to the fans, and they just won the Classico in Paris, and that's something special when you're a coach, because in Marseille it's something big when you win against Paris Saint-Germain, especially away from him. So hats off to Mr. Villas-Boas, because he does very well.
Next up, something we discussed in the show, Jurgen Klopp saying he preferred to lose 7-2 than 3-2. Robbo, given that the Merseyside derby is near, is Aston Villa's 7-2 thumping of Liverpool the best possible wake-up call to help the Reds retain the title this season?
Yeah, in some ways it is, but you certainly don't want to lose 7-2. But what it does, it highlights all the mistakes that Liverpool made defensively. I would pick out Alexander-Arnold. He's not just made mistakes in that game. Sometimes he's pressing the ball when the danger is the space in behind him, and he's losing concentration. The two centre-halves are trying to hold too high a line and letting players run in behind. From set plays, they're trying to hold too high a line. Surely, having lost the game 7-2 and some of those mistakes were highlighted, Jurgen Klopp has to go back to how they were playing before, which was a very good defensive formation.
Shaka, you with Klopp? You prefer to lose 7-2 than 3-2?
No, well, I'd prefer to lose 3-2, but I think the point that Jurgen Klopp is trying to make is that it could serve as a wake-up call that Liverpool needed. Listen, ever since the league restarted after it shut down for the pandemic, Liverpool haven't been great. They just had so much equity in how good they were in the first part of the season up to that point, that despite not being great, they got results and won the league. And then it's hard to tell a team that, listen, you haven't been good enough when you've just, 99 points? You've just amassed 99 points, yet you're saying to them, listen, you aren't good enough. And even when you started the season, you're not playing that well, but you're picking up wins, and somehow it's coming together. And then this kind of highlights all the little things that people have been saying, and maybe you have been neglecting or rejecting up to this point. And now you know that you have to put that right. So I understand what Jurgen Klopp is saying in that 7-2. You can't hide behind that, and you can't just say, well, we were unlucky and a couple of calls went against us. You've been poor, and that's what everybody's been saying.
Next question is for Shaka, but I actually want to get everybody else's perspective on it first, just because, field players have a different appreciation of goalies. Can a goalkeeper play 40 to 50 games a season considering they hardly run, asked John, or is it a mentality thing? Robbo, can a goalie play that much in a season considering they hardly run?
I'm not a goalkeeper fan, They don't do any work. What do they do? I mean, they do a little bit of diving here and there, a bit of catching of the ball. They can come out with their knees high. They can fly into attackers and foul them and do all sorts of things. They get away with almost murder at times, and then they say that they're tired mentally and physically. Load of old rubbish. Goalkeepers get it far too easy.
Come on, Frank, you got to agree with that, right? Let's be honest. 40 to 50 games should be nothing for these guys.
It is nothing, because I think the other ones played around 40 and 50 games. I think I did it a couple of years, where I played more than 50 games a season, and it's possible. So for a goalkeeper, and not for the Robo's reasons, it's possible to do that. I would say that it's possible because they work hard. Sometimes, I have to say that I followed the training session, goalkeepers training session. It's sometimes very tough, but as Robo said, they have the time to rest during the game, so it's cool.
Shaka, is there a limit? Do you poor guys need a break sometimes?
To the question, yes, goalkeepers can play 40 to 50 games a season, no problem. But then so do outfield players, despite what Mr. Stuart Robson would have you believe. A league is 38 games a year. add in cup games, Champions League or Europe if you're in Europe, and there are hundreds of players who play 40 to 50 games every single season. That's not hard.
Shaka, I hate to say it, but I played in goal twice for Arsenal with 30 minutes in each end,
really?
and my heart rate never went up above about 60. So I didn't have to do any running. All I could do was chip balls into the front players. I came out and caught a couple of balls. It was easy. Peter with running through 1v1. Just go down and save it. There's nothing, not a problem.
Robbo, I've seen you play out as well. Your heart rate didn't go over 65 then.
Let me tell you, it was up to 180 at that time.
All right, boys. Dan the Orange Man asks, who was the slowest player that you ever played with or against? How would they compare to Harry Maguire? Shaka, the slowest player that you ever played with or against?
I'll tell you who's a good and easy target. John Hartson. I played with John Hartson at West Ham, and let me tell you, unbelievable goal scorer. Unbelievable finisher of the ball. But he moved less than me. and move a whole lot slower as well. So I'm going to plump for John Hartson as the slowest and least mobile player I've ever played with. He gets 2 titles.
Was he slower than Maguire?
Listen, I used to beat John Hartson in the long distance running. So that takes some doing, let me tell you.
Right. Yeah. The defense rests. There's your proof. Frank, slowest player that you ever played with?
Can we include goalkeepers or no?
It's a fair point.
Why are you picking goalies today?
I feel like they should be off to the side because it's too easy. Now give us a field player.
I think Chris Sutton. Chris Sutton was very good with headers. Not that technical, but he was very slow. Very, very slow. And I think I was quicker than him. I think Dion Dublin wasn't that far. That wasn't that fast. Sorry. I played against him most of the time. I really appreciate that Dion Dublin. It's why I'm hammering him a little bit. But I was playing against him against Coventry. Fantastic player, fantastic lad. But I think he was slow. But to go back to the goalkeeper, Ed de Rooy. Ed de Rooy beat everybody. He can beat Harry Maguire, he can beat a snail, he can beat everything. You know, that guy is the slowest guy I ever seen.
All right, Robbo, on this theme, anybody you want to upset? Any bridges you want to burn? Who was your slowest teammate or foe?
Well, it's somebody I played with, and I'm not sure we got on that well when we played with each other. So I'm going to go for a centre-half at West Ham, Tony Gale, who was a very talented footballer, good passer of the ball. He could read the game quite well, not bad in the air, but he was slow. And for that reason, they used to drop off. Him and Alvin Martin used to drop almost into their own penalty box, which meant we as midfield players had to do a lot of running to cover all the ground. But going back to another one, John Hartson, I had to coach him for 2 years. Let me tell you, he was slow. The slowest player I had to coach.
Frank, question for you. How good of a player was Jean Tigana? He was an integral part of the French team, but hardly spoken about.
Jean Tigana was an absolute tower of the midfield with the national team. We talk a lot about Platini, Gires, but we don't really talk about Jean Tigana. I know Jean very well. He's from where I was born, and that guy only turned up as a professional. He was 26, I think, and he was very tiny, not very strong, but a heart like that, and fantastic player. I remember what he did the last second of the game against Portugal in semi-final of Euro 84 when he crossed to Platini, but he dribbled, he took on every player, and he was the only one capable of running after 2 hours because there was the overtime, and he crossed to Platini, who scored the goal 3-2, France in final, and then they won the Euro. Fantastic player. You know who reminds me a little bit like him? Wijnaldum. Wijnaldum is a little bit of Jean Tigana. And we have Kante. Kante, Diarra, who played for Chelsea, Real Madrid, I think Arsenal as well, and Kante as well.
Jean Tigana also, when he went to Fulham, when Jean Tigana went to Fulham and took them from the Championship to the Premier League, or I think it was the Premier League at the time, he built a magnificent team. They were the best team to watch in the Championship. I think they only lost 2 games, and he was a brilliant coach as well as a brilliant footballer.
Frank, everything under control over there? We're picking up some is that a cat, a door opening? We got dogs. What's happening?
My wife just came back from work, just so you know, and I've got a little dog, Ginger, and we have 3 cats. We have Lemon to make the cocktail with Ginger. We have Miami that we brought back from Florida, from Miami, and we have CJ, who is the oldest one. She's 12. She's tiny. She's a Bombay cat. We love pets. We are crazy about pets, and some people are saying you should have gotten 3 wives and 1 cat, but I guess I got to something.
Who said that? Who said that?
Who said that? Who
one of the
intimated
two.
that?
One of the 2 other guys. One of the 2 other guys.
Oh
It
man.
was definitely Xhaka.
No, it wasn't.
Frank LeBeuf in the big cat import-export game. Another question for you, Frank. Could PSG lose their match against Nimes this weekend, with Tuchel reporting that there are maybe only 11 players available?
Everything is possible, and it's never easy to play in Nimes, even if we won't see many fans. I think maybe 1,000 or 5,000, I don't know, depending on the stadium capacity. But Nimes is doing great, and they fight hard, and Paris Saint-Germain is struggling, and it's possible. We saw them losing games during the beginning of the season. But again, everything is possible because the pandemic, the preseason, people getting the COVID. And nothing is sure for Paris Saint-Germain this season. It's maybe the opportunity for other clubs to step up and maybe have a chance to beat Paris Saint-Germain this season. Marseille with Villas-Boas, Lyon, Nice maybe also, and other clubs.
All right, one last question, a fun one here. How did you know when it was time to hang up your boots in your playing careers? Looking back on it, do you wish you had played a few more years? Rabo, why don't you take this one first?
Well, I knew as soon as I ruptured my cruciate playing for Coventry at Arsenal, having had serious injuries before, I knew that was the end. I was never going to recover from that.
You knew, like, as soon as it was done?
I knew on the field, as soon as it was done, I had to do, before that I had a pelvic injury and a pelvic fusion, which I had to do an hour's rehabilitation before every training session, before every game. And then when I ruptured my cruciate, I knew that I couldn't get over the 2 injuries. And in my mind, I called it a day then, and I was 28, I think.
Rabo, the bionic man. Xhaka, what about you? I guess when you showed up at MLS, that's when you knew.
My last year at West Ham, 2005-2006 season, I knew then that it was time to hang the gloves up, or time was coming really quickly. The thing is, we then went on this incredible FA Cup run in 2006, which kind of changes things. But I knew retirement was very close during the course of that season. And
Why?
then in the end, I decided to
physically or mentally? Why did you know it was close? Was it a physical thing or a mental thing? When you say, like, you knew you were done.
No, well, it's physical, a bit of both. In that it's a tough admission that you have to make to yourself that you just can't do it like you once did. Whatever it is, you can't make the saves that you once did. You can't. Your reactions aren't as quick as they once were, and you have to say to yourself that nothing you do is going to get it back. You work on different training regimens and different diet regimens, and you do this and you do that, and you put on your socks differently, and every kind of ridiculous thing to try to cling to playing career. And at some point you realize now it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how I put my socks on. I'm just not good enough anymore.
Frank, was there a clear...
All I would say, Xhaka...
Go ahead.
All I was going to say to Xhaka there is that he knew when it was time to retire. The West Ham fans that I knew very well said it was 2 years before that, so I don't know quite what went wrong there.
Good one.
Can you mute Stuart Robson's mic?
No, I don't. I do not have that authority here on this show.
Yeah, the prime Robo, see, his wife, Xhaka's wife, called me, and it wasn't 2 years before. It was 4 years before that he should retire. She told me.
Frank, was there a moment in your career?
Yeah, I was fed up. I was 35 years old and I played 15 years at the top level, and I was fed up. It wasn't physically mostly, but it was more mentally. And I found a solution. I went for pre-retirement, very well paid in Qatar solution. So, and he asked me less. It was less demanding, and I went to that. I could have signed another year for Marseille when when Drogba signed, and Barthez as well when they played the final of the European Cup, the Europa League. But I was fed up with the hotel, with the training sessions and everything. I wanted something else, so I went slowly but surely out of the business.
It's interesting that the back end of that question, do you wish you'd played a few more years? I don't hear regret at all, one bit from any of you. That's surprising to me, Robbo.
Well, I regret it because I had to retire at 28 and had missed 2 or 3 years before that as well. So I was told that I would never play football again at 24. Ooh. And I had to prove a lot of people wrong, and I had to do a lot of rehabilitation by myself, go away from it was then West Ham, to go and do my own rehabilitation somewhere else because they weren't qualified to do the rehabilitation for me. So I had to prove them wrong, which I did, and played for another 2 years before getting the next injury.
Very well. Thank you very much, gentlemen. That's Robbo, Shaka, and Frank. We'll be back on tomorrow's edition of ESPN FC. Don't miss it. Plenty more build-up to the weekend across Europe.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.